So this is the video breakdown of programming and what you'll be reading and going through throughout the weeks. Most programs are going to be 4 to 5 weeks long, and they will start all by having a date listed at the very top. And you will follow that week by week. We are going to read our program from the top down, and it will break it down from there into individual days, anywhere from 3 to 6 days a week. We typically see athletes on a 5-day program going Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, taking Thursday off, and then training Friday and Saturday. So what we see up top here is a legend, and we have our back squat 1RM, back squat 3RM, clean and jerk, deadlift. This is all pertinent information, but it's not necessary to have in there in its entirety. What we do want to see is your clean and jerk number put in there in kilograms or in pounds, whatever you have access to in your facility, as well as your snatch. When you go through and you start setting front squat, 1RMs, 3RMs, 5RMs, we can start putting those numbers in there. And you will do that throughout the program. Typically, we establish a back squat, either depending on what the athlete needs, a 5-rep, a 3-rep, or it can be positional, like pauses, eccentrics, tempos, double bounce, depending on the phase of training and what the athlete is focusing on in that phase of training. So we're going to go on to day 1. You're going to see that listed up at the top here. This is your exercise selection, and we are always going to do this in order. We are not going to bounce around. It's very important. Exercise selection throughout the day and throughout the week is very important to making sure you're not overtraining, that there's enough time between strength training, your specific strength training movements. So please follow those from the top down. Each block you see here is going to be a set. Right, so in this instance, you have, and there is some abbreviation here, and if you haven't yet, please look through our terms. It should be sent to you in an email as well to have a cheat sheet for you to look at the terms if you're unfamiliar with them. But this exercise is a primer, right? Most days you will have a primer exercise before your primary, and that primer exercise will also help us double down on not only warming up, but the exercise the individual needs to train more frequently where they have the most errors. So for this instance, we see a hip impulse plus a hip snatch. All right, so you see over here that you look, okay, how many reps am I doing? Well, you're doing 1 hip impulse. Let's zoom in here. You're doing 1 hip impulse plus 1 hip snatch. Then you're going to do that whole thing 3 times in a row. That's 1 set. That is at 50% of your 1RM. We will go ahead and just add, actually, I don't know if it'll let me, so we'll put 100 kilos in there just to make this easy, and we'll go 140 kilos for the clean and jerk. So you can see that auto-populated what kilos you'll be using for the day. So the percentage is really for me, and the kilos or the pounds is really for you. This just helps my algorithm. All right, so once you do that, once you do your 4 sets of 1 plus 1 by 3 of the hip impulse plus hip snatch, you're going to strip your bar down, and you're going to go from the bar up, right? So you're going to go from the bar, whatever appropriate jumps you need to take to get you to 65 kilos for your starting working sets, right? That's exercise number 2 is going to be your tempo snatch. You'll go through there. Your average rest time for these primary exercises is going to be 2 to 3 minutes. As the intensity goes over about 75 to 80%, I would recommend taking 3 minutes between rests, sometimes up to 4 minutes if necessary. If there's technical decay, what you can do is take a little bit longer rest and see if that helps you get more finesse to the movement. In our terms, you'll see BTN, that's behind the neck press. BTN is behind the neck, press in split. So that'll be a barbell behind your back. You'll be in the split jerk position doing a strict press to facilitate, train, and strengthen the split jerk position as you're getting primed up for your pause behind the neck jerks. So in our terms, you'll see pause, right? If it says pause, it's always going to be 3 seconds unless it's otherwise stated. Sometimes we have athletes that have to do 6-second pauses in the catch or in the split or in the jerk, in the squat, and different variations. Okay, so we're going to move down to back squat. You're going to see exertion level of 9. Exertion level is synonymous for rate of perceived exertion. It is an approach using relative intensity instead of absolute intensity. So it's your best 5-rep max that you could do today. It doesn't say rep max, but it's a 9. And just know that that exertion level and the RPE scale is on a scale of 1 to 10. right? So if it said 10 there, it would be you're going to failure, right? You're going to find out. So we're just slightly ever so short of a true 5 rep max. Okay, and it's important because we're going to use that in the following week, and you'll be doing 90% of your 5 rep max. So whatever that number was from week 1, and then on week 3, we're doing 93%. And then we'll deload, and then we'll be doing 96%. You will get the hang of this very quickly. We do a lot of relative intensity. We don't go into 1RMs until, we often don't do 1RMs at all. 1RMs is a measure of strength, and that's something for powerlifting or just pure strength sport or strength measurement. It doesn't have as much carryover in the way that I program because I don't use a lot of, we understand in weightlifting there's a lot of information out there. Your snatch should be 80% of your squat, or your behind the neck jerk should be 10% of your jerk. Well, those are really good measures, but what it doesn't include is the efficiency of the athlete. So those numbers might be extremely great to use for an Olympian. It's extremely efficient, but we're not usually working with that type of person. So we use a lot of relative intensity versus the absolute, and the relative would be, this is your current 5 rep max. It's your relative, and we're using a relative intensity here of your 5 rep max instead of an absolute 1RM, right? Because if we were doing a 5, you'd probably be a max 5 rep using 1RM percentages would be about 85%, right? So this is always going to be labeled here percent of 5RM, percent of 3RM, percent of 2RM. We do 2RMs as we get closer to competition, depending on the athlete's personality type. So more to follow on that. So you'll go into your next day. I'm not going to go too much into exercise because this might not be your program. This might be somebody else's, but I'm just showing you the flow. If you have a 1A, 1B, 1C, what that's going to be, you're going to do your 5 pull-ups. You're immediately going to do 8 single-arm dumbbell rows, and then you're going to do a 30-second farmer carry. RPE and exertion level, they're very synonymous. I just changed over. It is, what is it? It is September 24th of 23, so someone might be listening to this in 2025, I don't know, but I just transitioned to exertion level because it means the same thing, but I have better congruence, I have better buy-in and understanding from the athlete, saying in exertion, like you're exerting yourself to a 10 versus saying your rate of perceived exertion. So you'll be seeing that more fluidly as your programs develop. All right, so EMOM, that means every minute on the minute. We do something on Wednesdays. It is a technical day or a volume day, no matter what cycle it is. You are going to do 4 singles on the minute at 65%. Then you're going to up the intensity by 5%. You're going to do 4 more singles on the minute. You can stop the time if necessary between the two or the percentages if necessary. If you can get away with not doing it, do so. This is a great tool. I will actually have a lot of athletes max out. You can see as the program develops, you're going to go up to 85%. Sometimes you'll see something like, you'll see a 90% here, and then it'll say, build or ramp. It'll actually say ramp down here, and it'll say to 1, and then an EMOM. Right, so basically that means I want you after this 90%, if you hit all of those, you get to ramp up to a single 1RM, and you might set a PR, and that happens quite frequently. All right, but in this exposure phase, your phase 1, you're not going to see much of that. We're developing and attacking some technical issues in the athlete in the exposure phase, and the follow-on phase, which will be the comprehension phase. Those 2 phases really attack technical deficiencies before going into follow-on programs that prep us for competition or maxing out. So just want to go through here and see if there's anything else that needs to be added or discussed. Again, this is your legend right here. You'll see time. This should say reps. We have a lot of programs, and sometimes there's little tiny errors here, but that sums it up. So what my recommendation is, go in and put your clean and jerk in, go in and put your snatch, look over your program, let me know if you have any questions. Remember I'll put in the notes again the rest periods. I'm pretty sure I covered every bit of terminology in the spreadsheet you're going to get, and you're going to get a link on the spreadsheet that actually linked you to this video. So you should have those terms as well. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. For video review, we like to see the videos directly from the side of the athlete, as close to directly from the side as possible. The center of that barbell should line up with the center of your camera, and that gives us the best view. Sometimes we will ask for a video from the front, so that we can make sure the grip and start position from the front is correct, or if there's something that we're not catching from the side. But we like to see one video of your primary exercises. So that would be like your tempo snatch, or the tempo snatch. This is your working set, 65%. We'll go on to the next week, and you'll see it goes 70 to 75%. This is your working set, and then we'll go on to last week, it goes 70, 75, 80. This is the working set. So we like one video from all of your working sets of your primary exercises, one video from your squats until told otherwise. So we'd like to see one on the tempo clean, the push press, clean impulse, the snatch, the jerk, pause front squat, snatch, clean and jerk, these two exercises, and a snatch pull to power. So I will also reach out to you if I need to see something that hasn't been sent. But video review is done twice a week. Sometimes I get it 3 times a week. You just send your videos directly to me through through the cell phone if you have an iPhone. If not, you use WhatsApp. Request me on there, or just use my phone number on there. And if you have an Android, that way the videos come through where both of us can see the clarity and what we need to on the video. Thank you for joining the team. We're really excited for you. We're going to do great things with you, and I hope this video really helps you, and we will talk soon.